Hi, Jerry again. Just finished up the other video on telephone techniques. We've gone over some of them. Now I'm going to give you a little more background as to the whys and what's happening and the reasons and philosophies behind the techniques I shared with you. I'm going to allude here to a very short video on YouTube. Just as there's no secrets in process serving, knock on the door and hand somebody papers. That's it. There's no secrets in creating business. We've gone over that. Hard work, determination, plans, business goals, aspirations, focus, desire, and so on. When you get people involved that you need to convince that you're the best person to do the job for them, you're dealing with basic fundamental truths. And as you can see on the screen, Dale Carnegie, How to Make People, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The book was written back in the 20s. It's just as relevant today. But I wanted to have you hear how the philosophies were used before I talked about the principles. This gentleman does an excellent job in explaining them and puts the captions up on the screen. And what I'm going to do, as the captions come up, I'm going to pause it and then relate back to what I spoke about in the last video and connect the dots. So here we go.
Hi, this is David Ricklin from selfgrowth.com. I'm here today to talk about the person I like to call the grandfather of self-improvement, Dale Carnegie. His first book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is one of the best-selling self-help books ever published. It has sold 15 million copies worldwide. I have to admit that it's going to be very difficult for me to talk objectively about Dale Carnegie. I fell in love with his material in the 1980s, and it's really had a special place in my heart ever since. I'll take you back. I was working for Hewlett-Packard, and they sent me to Dale Carnegie training. I loved the program so much that I ended up being an instructor for them. This Dale Carnegie training was my first taste of working in the self-improvement world, and here I am 20 years later with my own self-improvement business. In Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, he outlines 9 principles for becoming a friendlier person. I want to share with you my view on these 9 principles and why they're so powerful. Let's start with principle number 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. My view of this is to stay positive. Don't go negative. People just don't want to hear it. Number 2, give honest, sincere appreciation. The key word here is sincere.
Getting to principle number 1, when you know some of the less ethical people that are in the industry, don't say a word. Just acknowledge it and move on. Give honest and sincere appreciation. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. That's called a clue. To listen twice as much as you speak. And when you speak to someone, show sincerity, honesty, and appreciation in your responses. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Here we go.
If you're not being sincere, people are going to know it. Try to find something to appreciate in all the people that you meet and you know. Number 3, arouse in the other person an eager want.
You're going to hear me go back to the same examples, but in number 3, arouse in the person an eager want. This is not done by making statements. This is done by asking questions, open-ended questions. How soon were you hoping to get the papers served? What type of documents are they? What was the triggering event to get them involved in a conversation, not as a recipient of your monologue? Get them involved and listen twice as much or more as you speak.
What does that mean? Let me say it one more time. Arouse in the other person an eager want. It means that you want to get people motivated, keep them motivated, and spur them on. Number 4, become genuinely interested in other people. Take a sincere interest in them. Don't just pretend you're interested. Everybody has something interesting about them. Find out what it is. Number 5, smile. Yes, a real smile. A smile is contagious. We've seen it. Find things to smile about it and share your smile with the world. Number 6, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. I love hearing my name. David, what can I do for you today? David, would you like that promotion? I also love being called Daddy by my children. I love you, Daddy. Can you play with me, Daddy? My wife has a couple of other names for me that I can't share with you today. Number 7.
Getting back to sincerity and the person's name. In the calls I've made, no one asked my name. They never asked about my needs. What do I have? This is how much. Where does it go? When you establish and you bond with other people, using their name, showing sincerity, asking questions, you're tearing down the walls of resistance and fear. People are afraid of making a bad mistake. People hate to buy, but they love to own. They do not like making a decision because they're afraid of making a bad or a wrong decision. Build rapport, use that name, use it a lot. When you're talking to them and they give you their name, write it down so you don't have a conversation and then you call them Bill when their name is Bob. Very important. Here we go with number 7.
Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Here's my take on listening. I call it sincere listening. Don't sit and wait for your turn to talk while you're listening. Be attentive and show actual interest in what the person is saying. And here's the secret. What's the best way to show an interest? By actually being interested. Number 8, talk in terms of the other person's interest.
Alrighty. How to keep involved and keep it there. When you're dealing with the person, talking to the person, and they're telling you to show interest is, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more. Or, just to make sure I understand that correctly, will you explain it one more time? And then repeat it to them. No one else will do this. So, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more. I'm sorry to hear that. Sounds like a situation we can handle today, and I'm sure that's important to you, isn't it? So you're listening to them, you're helping them solve their problems, and you're closing with a question. Moving the individuals slowly along the path of building, getting them to like you and trust you. If they don't give you the money or the credit card now, you will have made an impression and looking for the call when they call you back after you tell them what to expect and what to ask the other process servers to get them to eliminate themselves. Are they licensed? They're licensed, but are they bonded and insured? Better Business Bureau? Are they the one that's going to knock on the door? You're building yourself up. You're not tearing the other person down. With that, let's go on to number 8. Talk in terms of the other person's interest. Goes right back to what kind of document. Summons and complaint. They don't want a summons and complaint served. They want the other person's money in their pocket. The summons and complaint is a step along the way. For an example, when I was running my business, people would call in and I would kind of paper is it? Summons and complaint. Okay, so if I understand what you're telling me correctly, your goal is to take the shortest route to get money from that person's pocket back into yours through the court. Is that pretty accurate? Well, of course it's accurate. That's why they file a document. Yes. We specialize in helping people accomplish their goals. Do you have a way to fax or email the documents, talking in terms of their interest, asking for the order to get it back to you? I can appreciate that. Looking forward to helping you accomplish your goal of getting money. Talk in terms of the other people's interest. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Underpromise and overdeliver. With that, we'll move on to number 9.
Find some common ground. Don't only bore them with things that are interesting to you. You don't have to fake interest. Find real common ground between the two of you. Number 9. Make the other person feel important. Make them feel important and do it sincerely. The only true way to make someone feel important is for you to feel they really are important, to sincerely believe they're important. If they're in your life and you're spending time with them, they should be important. Those are the 9 principles from Dale Carnegie.
Talking about number 9, it's a culmination of all of the other things we've spoken of up to this point. Moving everything along, again, we're getting them to like you, trust you, build rapport, asking for the order.
When it was written in the early 20th century, a long time ago, it had a tremendous impact on people. And the thoughts behind it are as true today as they were back then. If you want to go to the heart of Dale Carnegie in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, these are the principles to start with. Here are my questions for you for today. What do you think of the Dale Carnegie principles, and which ones work best for you? Please answer these questions below, and if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and visit.
Hopefully you've gotten some information out of there in some direction, so you can be more of a success, close more transactions, get more clients, more customers, put money in your bank account. What I want to do is briefly mention on the power and the importance of staying positive and motivated in a very negative world. That could be a college course, 2-day, 4-day, week seminar. Exercises, just like goal setting, could be a whole program in itself. I'm not going to spend that much time on it, but what I am going to do, and again, another short video, and this gentleman is very excellent, very powerful, and he can do better talking about not losing your goal, motivation, mind intervention. He can say more in a few minutes than I ever could. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start this, and just remember to be positive, focus. You're going to have rejection. If you get 10 calls wanting to get paper served, you're going to get better. But when you first start, just like learning any new skill, you're going to not be very good at it, just like building a muscle. So if you get 1 or 2, don't look at the 8 or 9 you've lost. Look at the 1 or 2, and the next 10 you're going to get 6 or 7. So your closing ratio goes up 1, or you're going to lose 6 or 7, so your closing ratio will go up 1 or 2. You get 3 or 4 or 5, then that's just where you want to be. You've improved. Remember, in baseball, if somebody can hit 3 out of 10 consistently, they're earning $1 million a year, which means they're missing 7 out of every time they get to bat. They didn't get down because they missed 7. They're delighted that they're hitting 300 or more with a batting average. With that, here comes Les Brown, and I'll be back when he finishes.
I want you to look at something right now. Think of some major goal you want, or maybe it's one you're already working on, and you have experienced a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. You've experienced a lot of disappointment. Maybe you've already given up, and maybe you just need a little fire, a little encouragement to get back in the game again. I want you to look at something right now. Think of some major goal you want, or Maybe it's one you're already working on, and you have experienced a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. You've experienced a lot of disappointment. Maybe you've already given up. And maybe you just need a little fire, a little encouragement to get back in the game again. Here's what I want you to look at. There are winners, there are losers, and there are people who have not discovered how to win. And all they need is some coaching. All they need is some help and assistance, just a little support. All they need is some insight or a different strategy or plan of action to make some adjustments that will open up the key to a whole new future for them, that will give them access to the unlimited power that they have within themselves. That's all that they need. So what I want you to do is think about something you want for you, that's real for you, that's important for you, that will give your life some special meaning and power. And I don't even want you to say, I can do that. I don't want you to assume that. See, 5 years ago, when I started out in this area, I would not have been able to make the mental leap that I would be up to where I am right now. I don't want you to begin to just psych yourself out. No. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea, you want to move on. You might not have the money. You might not have the education. You might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Most people operate out of their personal history, out of their memory, things they've done, things they've experienced, things they've seen, things that they have observed. What I'm suggesting that you operate out of a larger vision of yourself. I want you to see yourself doing what you want to do, experiencing what you want to experience, having what you want to have, doing what it is that gives your life some meaning and value. Operate out of your imagination, not your memory. Because whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And they can't see the possibility of it being any different. Example, before April 1954, the common belief, the universal belief, because it had been tried again and again and again and people had failed, the belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now, here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. What changed? 20,000 people. What changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done. And because they knew it had been done, there was a new belief about this barrier, about this goal that was unreachable. And those 20,000 people got in a race believing, knowing in their heart that someone had done it, that it's possible that they could do it. And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make that dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe. That I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, the things can get better for me. It's possible. I'm thinking about two men right here in Chicago who are fairly successful, similar background, educated. They worked for a corporation for many years, and they were among many people that were laid off. Two guys who were very good friends. One went out looking for a job for several weeks along with the other one, and they faced disappointment and rejection again and again and again. They couldn't find any work, which is the story of many people across this country. One guy stopped. He became discouraged. He stopped going. He stayed home looking at television, became very argumentative and toxic with his wife, drinking beer, getting on the phone, talking to his other negative, unemployed friends. And he just gave up. The other guy kept looking for a job everywhere he could go. Every time he could get an opportunity, kept asking people, networking, checking the newspapers every day. Kept going everywhere he could, trying to find a job. You have too much education. You're overqualified. You won't be here long enough. He kept going. He kept going. He went to a place and said, look here, I tell you what, if you can't hire me, and I know you can use my talents, abilities, and skills, I don't want to sit home and do nothing. Just let me do some volunteer work. You don't have to give me anything, all right? I just want to work. I want to be busy. Guy said, okay, it's on you now, but don't expect me to give you anything. It's okay. This guy came in and worked. He was the first one there. The last one to leave was the best employee there. About 4 weeks later, one of the top managers quit. They were looking for a replacement. Guess who they selected? This other guy. This guy who was volunteering his time. He got the job. What was the difference between the two men? Eyesight and mindsight. Eyesight is judging on what you see. Judging according to appearances. But mindsight is how you interpret what you see. One guy said, it's not possible, it's over, I'm finished. I can't do it. I can't make it. He surrendered. I've faced rejection again and again. I'm not going anymore. There are no jobs out there. But this other guy, he felt that in spite of the no's and rejections, in spite of how bad the economy is, in spite of what the newspapers are saying.
Pretty powerful stuff.
I want you to look at something right now. Somebody somewhere.
Just like the last shot with Cassius Clay. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Well, I hope you got a lot out of that video. We're positive attitude, because without a positive attitude, all of the training, knowledge, experience, desire, eventually it'll run out. It's not how many times a man gets knocked down that's important. It's how many times he continues to get up. The first time a person goes down and says, I'm staying here, then it's over. May you never, ever say that at all. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video.